The CharCole podcast is recorded in front of a live studio audience. Any reproduction, rebroadcast, or reuse of any of the materials contained within this podcast is strictly prohibited without the express written consent of the CharCole podcast. Welcome back to the CharCole podcast. This is episode, I believe, 29 of the podcast, and we've got a lot on our slate, so we're just going to get right into it. All basketball today. Up first, on December 8th, the Mount Vernon Plankton Lady Titans took on the McCook Central Montrose Fighting Cougars. As you saw in the video, the final score of that game, early game, Titans kept up good, and then just lost the lead in the fourth quarter. Final score, 57-44 in favor of the Fighting Cougars. Your score by quarter, it was 16-10 at the end of the first quarter. Both teams scored 16 in the second. Titans scored 5, and the Cougars scored 9 in the third, and the Cougars came out 22-7 in the fourth quarter for your final score, 57-44. Some team stats for you for the Titans. They shot 35.6% from the field, 10 for 29 from 2, 6 for 16 from 3, 6 for 7. From the free throw line for McCook Central, 45% from the field, 21 for 40 from 2, 3 for 13 from 3, and 6 for 8. From the free throw line, McCook Central had 31 points off turnovers in that game and 42 points in the paint. And that seemed to be the difference maker in that game.
You know, it was interesting. I think we kind of talked about this amongst ourselves, but I mean, the Titans in this game showed really good defense in the first quarter. I mean, not letting many points on the board until late into that first quarter. And then McCook started stacking on the consistent quarters that helped them eventually win the game. And a 5-point third quarter doesn't really help the Titans out, but I mean, you can definitely see that this is a room for improvement. For the Titans. Definitely a growing game, I would say. 12 points by Fox and 16 by Baker. You know, in the next couple games we'll talk about this too, but them two are kind of the staple players for us right now.
Consistent scorers for the Titans. That what they need. They need a solid base, and they need some other players to pick up the slack as well. Not saying there really is any slack, but you know, it's just some individual stats, like you said. Maria Baker led the Titans. 16 points on 7 for 17 shooting, 2 for 3 from the line, and then Emily Fox had 12 on 4 of 11 shooting. Their leading scorer was Kepsel with 24 on 12 for 17 shooting, and I'd be willing, if I were a betting man, I'd bet that all of those points came from in the paint.
Yep.
And then, so, as I said, final score, McCook Central 57, Titans 44. Titans fall to 0-1 on the season. And then December 11th, Titans go into doubleheader action against Gregory. As you saw in that video, the final score in favor of the Titans, 53-28. Titans score 10, 11, 20, and 12 in the quarters, respectively, scoring their 53. Gregory scored 11, 3, 5, and 9 in the quarters, respectively, scoring their 28. Some team stats for you. Mount Vernon Plankton shot 35.8% overall on 15 for 32 from 2, 4 for 21 from 3, and 11 for 12 from the free throw line, 91.7%. That's a good percentage right there. Gregory shot 21.3%. They went 10 for 38 from 2, 0 for 9 from 3, and 8 for 15 from the free throw line. Titans had 17 turnovers in that game. That's going to be something they're going to want to clean up before the game gets on. And then individual stats. Baker, once again, led the Titans with 19 points on 5 for 9 shooting. And then Fox had 17 on 7 for 12 shooting.
You know, an interesting game, a really good performance for the Titans here, and showed what they're made of. And we'll get to a little bit more of that in the recap of their next game. Well, let's talk about their defense this game. They actually were down 1 at the end of the first in this game, but consistent basketball, 10, 11, 20, and 12 with their 53. You know, with a 3-point second quarter and a 5-point third quarter, that's really good defense, and especially if you can put points on the board, that's how you win games.
Yep.
So, obviously a great night from Fox and Baker. Baker puts up 19 and Fox 20. It's really good numbers there with the Titans.
Yeah, and it all was fueled by that good defense. They played really good defense throughout the entire game. The first quarter, they held with them good, and then their defense just wore Gregory down offensively. And then they scored 8 points in the second and third quarter, and then 4 in the ninth, or 9 in the fourth, sorry. So, overall, good game. Titans go to 1-1 on the season. And then also on the same day, December 11th, the boys basketball team takes on Gregory in the second half of the doubleheader. As you saw in that video, Titans couldn't pull out the win. Final score 65-64 in favor of Gregory. Your score by period, Mount Vernon scores 11, 15, 17, and 21 for their 64. Gregory scores 14, 24, 13, and 14 for their 65. Overall team stats, Titans shoot 34.8% from the field overall. 18 for 41 from 2, 5 for 25 from 3, 13 for 30 from the free throw line. 27 turnovers and 27 personal fouls. That's a big number to keep in mind. For Gregory, 33.9% overall, 16 for 36 from 2, that's 44.4%. 3 for 20 from the 3-point line, and 24 for 37 from the free throw line. That'll win you a lot of ball games right there, shooting a lot of free throws. They also had 22 turnovers and 27 personal fouls as well.
One thing we should probably talk about is that performance by Detterman and Russ. Russ putting up 28, Detterman on the other side putting up 43 points. And one thing you talked about is his free throw attempts. 25 attempts by him with a lot.
Yeah.
You don't see that. Our team, we didn't even get to the free throw line 25 times. But he gets there 18 for 25 from the free throw line. And looks some other stats for us. Lincoln Clues, kind of not necessarily a big performance, but kind of a pivotal part in this game. Diner with 14, Kaiser ended with 6, Home with 8, Soltz with a 3, and then Chris Meyer with an offensive rebound, or defensive rebound. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about Christopher in here because talk him up. That's about all I got for that kid.
Yeah, Coy Enderman had one heck of a game, 43 points. He shot the ball 29 times from inside the arc, 6 times outside the arc, and got to the free throw line 25 times. So that's just kind of insane stats with 17 boards and 2 assists, 6 steals, 1 block, 5 turnovers, 4 fouls. And that wraps up that game. As I said, final score, Gregory 65, MVP 64, Titans fall to 0-1 on the season. And then another doubleheader action, December 15th, so yesterday or Tuesday, whenever you're seeing this. The Mount Vernon Plankton Lady Titans take on the West Central Trojans. West Central and Mount Vernon Plankton had a good game overall. Titans kind of went down early in the first quarter. We'll get to that a little later. Final score, 57-45 in favor of West Central. Your score by quarter for Mount Vernon Plankton, 6 in the first, 16 in the second, 17 in the third, and 6 in the fourth for their 45. For West Central, 17 in the first, 14 in the second, 15 in the third, and 11 in the fourth for their total of 57. As I said, Titans kind of went down big early, and they just really couldn't come back. But just some team stats, just points, rebounds, assists. Maria Baker finishes with 17 points on the night. Also note, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Emily Fox finishes with 14 points, and she also had 7 assists in that game. For West Central, Addie Kramer finishes with 24 points. Addie Kramer finishes with 24 points to lead the way for West Central. As I said, final score 57-45.
You know, being on the call for this one was interesting to watch. Kramer really played a really great game. The junior guard for West Central really had the tempo and really held everything together for West Central. Simmons mowed the big post down there. She's 6'1", and you don't see that a lot. So a big girl down there, and that's hard. That's hard to beat if you got a good guard and a good post movement, and everything was really good for them guys.
Yeah, everything worked out. They were really balanced too, and just tough to win when you go down 17-6 at the end of the first quarter for the Titans. But then on to the second half of the doubleheader, the boys take on West Central. As you said as you saw in the video, it said final score 69-53. The actual final score was 69-55. Says everybody else that was at that game and the official scorebook. Score by quarter: 13 in the first for Mount Vernon, then 10 in the second, 9 in the third. Really rough quarter for us there, 9 points, and then 21 in the fourth for 53. West Central, 9 in the first, 16 in the second, 24 in the third, and 20 in the fourth for a total of 69 points. Overall stats for the Titans: 38.8% shooting, 11 for 22 from 2, 8 for 27 from 3, 7 for 13 from free throw, 24 turnovers, big number in that game. For West Central, 50% shooting overall, 27 for 44 from 2, 2 for 14 from 3, and 9 for 20 from the free throw line. Points off turnovers, where does that say? 20 points. No, that's not as bad as I thought. Points in the paint, they had 50 of their 69 points in the paint. And then individual stats, Titans were led by Deinert with 13 on 3 for 13 shooting, Clues with 11 from 4 for 9 shooting, and then Kaiser and Russ with 9.
You know, I mean, also seeing everything that unfolded in this game, you know, the Titans played a pretty fast-paced game, which was fun to watch. I liked the press that they put on them and everything that they did there. I mean, they had the formula to win. Turnovers is what killed them towards the end, but I really thought they had the game. I mean, coming in and out of that first quarter, a couple good shots here and there really sparked the Titans right away. And then, like you said, we kind of came off and then we gave them too many layups and points in the paint that didn't help us out. You know, I mean, and points off of turnovers really, I mean, it seemed like a lot, but it all came at one time, you know?
Yeah, it was a stretch right there, end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, where it was just constant, where they'd have a turnover and West Central would go down and score, layup or dunk, either way. But it was a good game to watch. There was much better play than Gregory overall for the Titans. A lot better team game there. And yeah, I believe that wraps it up on the podcast. Next game's coming up. Boys play Freeman in Plank, and then a doubleheader against SCW, also in Plank.
I think that Freeman game did Mount Vernon, I believe.
That just got changed.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But schedule change. We've had about 60 of those throughout the season so far. But there will be no podcast next week due to Christmas break. So Merry Christmas from everybody at the CharCole podcast and our audience. Merry Christmas to everybody. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.